Hi, it's Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review. I'm going to talk about the 2010 film Tron Legacy in its new 4K edition. My second Tron Steelbook was delayed in the United States. If you didn't know, we only got Tron 1 and 2 in Steelbooks, 4K, all that kind of stuff. In England, they got regular versions and the Steelbooks. Anyway, it took a while. A lot of people had delayed or canceled orders. My second one finally came in, and I watched it over the weekend. Tron Legacy is a sequel to Tron, directed by Joseph Kosinski, who went on to direct the new Top Gun and F1 most recently. And he's probably the best thing about this movie, although Daft Punk's music is pretty close. Jeff Bridges comes back. Garrett Hedlund stars as his son. You got Olivia Wilde. Bruce Boxleitner comes back. Michael Sheen is in this. A few other people as well. I think it's a pretty good sequel. As sequels go, it's actually a really good sequel. Movie had a giant budget of $170 million, went on to gross over $400 million. Not exactly a hit, but it made its money back in a little bit. Basically, 2.5 to 3 times the budget is what a movie has to make to be profitable these days. And it wasn't enough money to greenlight an immediate sequel for whatever reason. Had this in that original set that they released of all the Tron movies. You could get them on Blu-ray and DVD, and it came with a light-up disc. I still have that set. But I was looking forward to revisiting both of these movies in 4K because, well, if they do it right, they should be incredible in HDR. And Tron 1 is. It's definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of the film. Rewatching the film now, it doesn't hold up as well, more than like a time capsule, but it's one of my favorites from when I was much younger, and I do enjoy Tron. Tron Legacy, rewatching that, this is a modern film. Joseph Kosinski did the impossible, which he's done multiple times. Nobody ever predicted that we could make a good Top Gun sequel, but he did it. Before that, he made a sequel to Tron, which was pretty impossible. He pulled it off. One of the things I've always hated about it is the de-aging of Jeff Bridges. It's really not necessary. I mean, I understand why they did it and because they could do it. But then and even now, the hardest part about de-aging is, or, making a virtual version of somebody younger, is the mouth. It just never seems to work. Every time he talks, it just takes you out of it. Same thing happens in a lot of other movies with de-aging or that kind of technology in it. We just can't get the mouth right yet. The jaws and everything, it doesn't look right. It looks like he has a lisp. He's not enunciating correctly. It just doesn't work. But when he's not speaking, I've heard that they've cleaned up the image for this release. And I got to say, the couple of times, especially in the beginning, when you see the younger version of him, it's pretty good until he talks, and then that still haven't fixed that part. But overall, this movie looks fantastic in 4K and sounds great in Dolby Atmos. I mean, wow. It is definitely shows off the system. I had to turn it down. Even for a Disney movie, the subwoofer is just thumping in a lot of this. Not just the Daft Punk soundtrack, but there's a lot of computer, that kind of just the low rumble stuff in here. Explosions and that kind of thing also hit with quite a bit of punch. I thought the movie looks flawless. I guess it was a digital production and they redid it for 4K, and the special effects look fantastic. Other than the de-aging stuff, this is a nearly perfect looking film. And they did a little bit different thing with how the programs look within the Tron universe, so to speak. But I didn't mind that. And I love how they updated the cycles and the flyers and all the other stuff. If you don't know the story, this just takes place later, and a message comes from within and leads Flynn's son back to the arcade, where he gets pulled back into the other universe, into this computer universe. And it turns out Clue is working with Master Program, or at least the new version of Master Program, and wants to take over everything and eventually get into the real world, which I guess is what's happening in the new movie that's currently in theaters I hope to see this week. I thought everything about the movie is fine. Olivia Wilde is really great in the movie. Jeff Bridges is good in the movie, especially when he's not being de-aged. I think one of the biggest problems is Garrett Hedlund. I think he's a fine actor, and he must be a really good actor because he keeps getting these great roles. But he's just forgettable. Nothing against the guy. Like I said, I don't think he's bad, and I think he's very good in the role. But he's been in many other movies, Troy and some other movies, that you just don't remember him being in them. He's just not... He's fine. And to play a younger version of Jeff Bridges, I think they did probably find the right actor. But he keeps getting put in movies, and none of his movies have ever exploded. He's never become that star that he should have. And he's been a star in the Aragon adaptation and many others. These are some pretty big properties he's been put in charge of. These days, he's doing some serious acting work, and he's won some awards. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the guy, but he just doesn't stand out in the film. Everybody else is more interesting than his character. And they give you a reason to like him in the beginning. He's kind of doing some industrial espionage at the beginning and jumps off a building and all this kind of stuff. We should love this guy, but he just... I don't think it's a personal thing because, like I said, you look at his list of movies, they're all pretty big movies. They just never got huge, and he's just not remembered for any of them. But anyway, he is a good actor, and I think he was fine in the role. I think everybody's really good in the movie. I love Michael Sheen, so his character, some of the other stuff in the film I really like. Maybe it's a hair long, but they were trying to do an epic. I can't wait to see the new version to see how this compares to the first two because they're both flawed films. This is really good. It's better than the original Tron in some ways. In other ways, it doesn't have that nostalgic feel, but it's an interesting story and an interesting universe that's completely fully realized incredibly well. It expands on the original movie and things like that and the mythology that they created. So all in all, as the sequel goes, it's great. And as a 4K, this is the one you put in to show off your system. The HDR content is incredible. Some of the bright colors, there's a lot of reds and blues and purples, and it pops off the screen. It looked fantastic from beginning to end. Even the human parts, the stuff in the real world, all looks fantastic. It looks like a really, really good 4K. The original Tron just looked like a product of its time. It's an early 80s film. It looks like that. This looks like a 2010 film, and it looked fantastic. Sounded great, like the extras, although it's pretty much the same disc from the original set. So if you have that, you really just need this if you have a giant TV that has Dolby Vision HDR, or if you have Dolby Atmos. I thought the soundtrack was pretty great. Daft Punk, you cannot minimize their contribution to the film. The music fits the movie so well. They're even in the film to do a few things. They make the movie. They help make the movie. All in all, I like the Tron movies. They're two of my favorites. They won't convert you if you're not a fan of these kind of movies, but if you have some kind of nostalgic connection to Tron, then you should pick up both of these new 4K editions because they're the best the movies have ever looked and sounded. And then go see Tron Ares if you're so inclined. Like I said, hope to see that this week. But I got to give it high marks. If you're a fan of the film, this is the one to get. This is the version. It looks and sounds great. It's a really cool steelbook. I wish there had been some new extras, but hey, we got the Tron movies in 4K. Those were holy grails of the home video world. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. More podcasts are on the way. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a spectacular day.